So today I want to share just being creative, how practicing being an inventor or being innovative. So this brings blessings because the way that the worlds are set up, creativity is above the will. So in the four worlds, we have emanation from the creator, right? Emanator, then we have creativity or creation. And then we have will. Then we have change, or call it action. And below is the world that could have waste. So since we're in this world, we want to channel these worlds so we have less waste. And thinking about being thrifty, we could reuse things or recycle things. And so I was thinking about, do cars need mezuzah? They didn't have cars back then. When the mezuzah on the doorpost, Jewish people have to have a mezuzah usually, or mobile homes or vans or RVs or trailers. So these are just like the yes and, like improv kind of. Improvisation. This is for the sake of being in a flow, in a yes flow rather than on, off, yes, no. So basically a voice note that scrambles and degrades after a few moments. Another idea is a spirit that a tool can measure, whether it's breathing, tone, heat, radiation, or the brain patterning noise signals, like just in front of us, like a wand. A machine that spits out something 1 time a week for 100 years and can't be opened, maybe due to its location or impenetrable, it's a way to someone to still be rich and value money. I thought it was a cure. I imagine these pipes with Mexican food, like the way they used to have a 16 handles. Literally 16 handles. And it was for ice cream or froyo or whatever. So here would be, one is like rice, one is cheese, one is soft, one is thick. Could be cheese, could have thick, saucy cheese, or shredded. Could have sour cream, a tomato puree kind of salsa, guac, so that's soft, and then a spicy sauce. And then I was thinking you could have like a thick taco, whether it's a roti or a tortilla or a lafa, like some kind of cross. It's drip proof. It's like dry on the outside kind of in such a way, or some kind of oil-philic tendency more so, like it doesn't get soggy. And it's like these crank levers, like if you ever been to a 16 handles location, you pull across for a glop and then it slides back. So it's like one glop. It's not like if you hold it, it keeps going. One glop and then close. And so if you want another one, it's like preset. And it's easily washed because the outside system comes off for the pressure cleaner, sanitizer, and the inside is all with liners. Very clean kind of vibe. And then it's self-serve due to the clientele and the portion glopper with a few settings. I really think it's a pretty cool idea. Then we have the device for the womb to rest. It's a massive, hardworking organ, the womb, and it needs extra fuel and restoration time. So something that, like, we have everything for this, for that. There's physical rest, mental rest, and I'm thinking, energetic, but I'm thinking for the womb. Then there's walkie-talkie style communication device that you just push and talk, and could be anywhere, not like a phone, just for communication with 2 pieces that are a pair. I guess on some kind of channel. A phone that could inflate stuff as a smallish adapter, like you put something on it and then it could inflate a bed, a bicycle tire, something to wear over the mouth that changes a scream to a very low sound. So you like put it over there, you're screaming, but no one can hear you. Some of these things from when I wrote it, I feel that things have come out that are kind of like that. Oh, and there's a point about a tangent. So a tangent line is an alternate reality touching, but from a start place, but touching differently and going in a different direction. I wonder if I could show a picture. Like, let's say you have a curve, and then you have a tangent line. So Alexandra Poltorak from Quantum Torah shares about how it's a derivative measures the sensitivity to a change of the function, the output value, with respect to its input value. So what's the difference? You came in happy to the event, and then you walked out feeling confused or sad. So the derivative of a function is the slope of the tangent line to the graph of the function at that part. What that looks like is you have like an x plane, you have an x and you have y. Then you have the change in x and the change in y. So here you have x, you have start with 0, there's like x and y, right? Now x moved a little bit over and y moved a little bit, but we started here. We went here. So what a tangent line is something that the slope of change, because now you have like a V where there's the x moved a little and the y moved a little, and it's like the x and the y originally. So you have like x, I have a chopstick, you have y, and then you have it moved over here. So they make a slope for this line. It's called a slope. The line that could touch it and then move it, so it's sloping, it's like on this reality, and then this line comes and glides right across it. Like for example, I have this, I'm trying to make a slope. Right? It's kind of like a slope. So, how many fingers do I have? So anyway, imagine it's like a slope. A tangential line is the one that comes right across and touches the slope, okay? Like that. So, how do we understand this? That the derivative of a function is the slope of the tangent line to the graph of the function at that point. In other words, the function of x is, so you have the change in x over the change in y, and then there's something called the secant of secant as change in x to 0. So that's the definition of a derivative. And so, like if we were to assume that our unknown, as of yet the observed or measured or calculated, not yet observed, measured, calculated pattern, is described by a differential equation of the first order, the first derivative. To solve it, we'd have to integrate, as the integral it is the opposite of the derivative. So the integral is the opposite of the derivative. We'd have to solve it and we'd have to integrate it. So I want to put this into an example. Well, Eugene Wigner said that the role of science is separate patterns from noise. So the derivative of a constant is always 0. So this constant, we derive something from it, it's a 0. This is like almost like we could think of as a baseline, which means that when we reverse the operation of the differentiation by taking the integral, we can only know the answer up to a constant. What this means is that if our pattern is described by a differential equation of the first order, the first derivative, we will have a layer of random noise represented by the constants that pop up in the integration. So we could think of this as like, I want to give an example. Okay, so you're nurturing somebody deeply, and inside of them, they have husks and peels and selfishness, and they're so I don't want to say slimy, sneaky, fake, liar, dishonest, power hungry. However, it all sort of shakes off. The inside sort of pops out, and all that time, all that other stuff was taken into account, but it wasn't really part of it. It was just sort of what we were deriving from our observations. And almost like the version of that one was sort of they just touched for a second. It was like the line, that possible reality, you touched onto that, but you were just, it was a curve for you. It wasn't straight. So to get rid of this noise or these things that are not the real truth, we need to select the initial conditions. In the case of a moving object, we need to know the initial position of the object. So the derivative measures the sensitivity to a change of the output value with respect to its input value. And the derivative of a function is the slope of the tangent line to the graph of the function at that point. So now that we went through some of this, I want to revisit and say, so the derivative of a function, the change of output to input, right? So from the place where it started and the place where it's there is the slope of the tangent line. So to the graph of the function at that point. So the function would be the sloping line in the change, and the tangent would be where it changes. Now, because we're talking about also things that are moving, and yet we're not getting the right information because we had those constants, things are always going to remain the same in those areas. So if the pattern is described by the differential equation of the second order, the second derivative, to solve it, we need to integrate twice, producing two sets of constants, and therefore two layers of random noise. To get rid of the noise, we need to know the two sets of initial conditions. In the case of a moving object, we would need to know the initial position and initial velocity. How fast was it moving? And where did it start? So how do we translate this now? In this case, I'm talking about you walk into a party, you're in a great mood. You didn't realize something you ate was starting to be digested, and you saw someone there you didn't like. And we don't know what caused it. So we have to take away all these things. We think about the last time that you ate that thing. We think about the last time you saw that person. That's two integrations, right? And now we could get to the feeling, oh, there was nobody that you knew except that one person who you didn't like. So there was no one you knew. The person who invited you was someone you didn't know. They just said they're having a party. That seems to be what caused the bad feeling. After all these other things are derived, we realize this is the thing that we could pick out, which is not the usual, right? But we could say if we're living in a reality where we don't know anyone, that is kind of like what it would be like for that period. It's almost like a reality where we forever didn't know anyone. It's kind of like that tangent. So it's a possible reality forever, but we kind of step into it and step back out. And I'll talk about, I wrote a little bit about what it feels like. Like I felt confused. So what does that mean for this? I'm just going to give some examples where I did some work. So if I had an inner dream that went into, I would say it's not just a dream, an inner image, like a demon, like a false, like I remember I was talking about the husks and the layers, and you're planting a seed and then you're nurturing, you believe it's really true and good in there. That means all the other stuff that could pop out could come off. Like sometimes when something blossoms, at first it's all ratty, kind of the plump sort of outside, the plump innard doesn't come out, this like dry, kind of streaky outside. So think about there was this person, I'm gonna say his name is Michael. If he was like that, maybe I by mistake put something into him, when I met him. I remember there was a sweet, cute side to take care of that was endearing, like a ragamuffin puppy, fresh, relaxed, free. I feel like I was kind of becoming locked in place, and him too, also more and more it seemed, and I don't know if it was just to get him known better or if I was having a bad influence on him, like what caused the change, right? You see this idea, we're applying it to real life, about like why Michael felt so connected front to front with me, but also like he's swimming flat above, like a galaxy, like sliding, streaming surface, a glimpse, kind of like a tangent, like I'm sloping, I'm changing, and it's sort of, we touch and that's it. Almost like he's like, we're front to front, but then also almost like he continues on as he glides over, like I'm underwater and first it's like we're right next to each other and then he kind of glides away. Like in slow motion or not moving, and like a black hole, like the idea that like a remnant, like when you have a black hole, the last thing you see is what was the original, like by the time that information gets to the place, it looks like, let's say you take a picture of a baby and then, not saying we're sending a baby to a black hole, but then the baby gets to the black hole. By the time they get to the black hole, they're already an adult. But the last image you saw was the baby. So you forever see that last thing you saw before they crossed over into the black hole. It's called an event horizon. So I think, why do I want to eat crap? To be full of shit. What is constant? What is noise? To cancel out, to see the change about what's actually going on. So why did I want shit in me? Something not real. To match maybe like the outside, how it felt. Something wasn't real. And then I thought maybe I left him with some worse habits because I represented the option to not do the right thing and still live with it, still get mercy, still get credit. They call it enabling, right? Being able to come to terms with not being the one to change someone who doesn't want to change. That was a work. And finally, coming to terms with my incredible short-sightedness when I latched on and merged in so many ways with him and onto him with such trust and love and openness. So here I was, I'm sharing one side of it, sharing how we go from creativity, and then we can see new things, and then we can also use mathematical approaches to understand our feelings. And they say that math really does help people who have difficulty with emotions. So I wish you well. If I don't get to do a video tomorrow, it's getting to be longer. It's going to be 7 o'clock when we light candles. If I don't end up doing a video, I'll do it Saturday night. If I don't do a video, I wish you a good Shabbos now. I wish you protection and guidance, and to pay attention with the spiritual antennae and up there. And if I do make a video tomorrow, then I will. Okay, bye.